The thing is, most business owners, they don't actually have a business problem. Quite often, what they have is an identity problem that hides itself in the business. And nobody ever tells them that. But you see, until that changes, more leads, more systems, and more hustle, it's not going to fix anything. Look, we all do it. We all go through it. I've gone through it myself with my businesses. You know, some of us, a lot of us, the ones that are stuck, we get into this phase. The first phase of building a business is the grinding phase, right? We're there to build the business. We know that we've got to put a lot of work into it. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. We're going to have to put in some hard work to build the business. But then as we do that, we get accustomed to that. And then you keep going with that grinding phase and you keep building off that grinding phase and you keep grinding more. And it leads to, I just got to put in some more hours. If I put in more hours, I'll get the jobs done quicker. I'll be more profitable. And you start feeling that nobody can do it quite like me. So I've got to stick around and I've got to do it. Right. And externally look at it from the outside and people see this success that you have, but they don't see the work you're putting in behind the scenes. And we talk about it a little bit in entrepreneurship that everybody looks at entrepreneurship as an easy road and they see all these highlight reels and the success that people have, but they miss the point about all the hard work that was in behind it. The sleepless nights wondering, am I going to meet payroll this week? Or when you're getting started going, is this actually going to work? Do I have a viable business? Are people going to want to buy from me? People going to want to work for me? And that's a heavy burden to carry. But that burden, it's not just on your shoulders, it spreads to your family. And that's why it's important not to build that burden upon yourself. You know, what happens is we build this structure in chaos out of survival mode, and it happens in our lives too, right? We go through something in our life and we get through it in survival mode because we have to survive something. Our business needs to survive the downturn. It needs to survive the season. It needs to survive this. It needs to survive that. And then we end up having to rebuild. But rebuilding, it can actually help you progress even further as long as you do it right. See, it's too easy to rebuild the same way you did the first time, right? Because we're used to doing something a certain way. In order to build it differently, we've got to change. And sometimes change is hard. Sometimes we don't want to do that change, right? Have you ever thought to yourself, I know that I need to adjust this, I need to tweak this just a little bit. If I make this slight change, all this stuff is going to change around me. I bet you have. But if you try to rebuild the exact same way that you built the first time, if you try to continue going through your life the way you've been going through and you keep hitting these roadblocks, you're going to keep hitting the same roadblocks. And see, all this here, all this internalized, this all builds up in the minds of business owners and high performers and high achievers. And what that does is when it builds up, it does something to you. It creates a pressure inside you. It's a pressure that nobody sees, but you feel it. Sometimes you don't even know how to say it, how to label it, how to talk about it. But that pressure inside, man, it's like a propane tank sitting in the sun, the amount of pressure that's in there. Or you take a bottle of pop and put that in the sun, the pressure that builds up in there. See, from the outside, people see the numbers. And I see this all the time with business owners. They love to focus on the top line, the revenue, because it fills and feeds the ego. So everybody just focuses on that. They focus on the numbers. What they don't see, though, is that inside, Inside, there's this pressure that's been building. There's this doubt that's inside you. So quite often, as business owners, we come from a place, especially in the service businesses, we come from a place where we did these trades. This is what we did. We were workers. But now we're going from a worker to a business owner. And how do we make that transition? Can we make that transition? Are we capable? Are we the person to do it? These are some of the thoughts that come up. I hear these thoughts and conversations on a regular basis. There's a responsibility. You have employees that are relying on you, not just your family now. Other people's families are relying on you. And people don't see that. That's why we hear so many people saying that they got negative things to say about business owners and why they should get all the profit. And the reality is, the business owners have a lot of stress on their plates. Sometimes that ends up showing up as exhaustion that you just can't quite explain. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I learned this the hard way. See, after years of building businesses, chasing growth, I mean, I became a roofer as a punishment because I was a troublesome teenager. But then I built a career out of it. I went from being a laborer to an installer to a lead hand to a foreman and growing in businesses too, like not just staying with the first business, but going to other companies and learning more and more and realizing, I had this ego when I first my first couple of years in the trade. I was the best there was in the industry, best there ever would be. Nobody could test me. And then I went to work for other companies and realized that I wasn't that good. But I built myself up and I kept learning and growing. And I kept growing with different companies and bigger companies. And I went from being a laborer to being a supervisor at the largest roofing company in this country and operating at a level that at one point I never thought imaginable, but I could see myself doing it. And I chased growth. First, it was as an employee. Then it was, okay, what comes next? Start my business. And I was having success with it. I was building the business. Everything looked amazing on the outside because I put on that persona. Like so many other high level, amazing people, I hid everything internally. There was an internal friction that was showing up, but nobody could see it because, like many of you, I would hide it. I can't let other people see I'm weak. I can't show that I'm not the smartest person in the room. I need to be the smartest person in the room. I can't ask for help. Can you relate to that? Have you done that? I see it in the messaging, see it in the conversations. You don't quite say it, but it's there, hidden in the words that you use in your conversations. And through my journey, my work, my studying, and working with high level individuals and owners, I discovered that really there's three reasons why owners stay stuck. And number one, the first one is it's the identity lag. Your business, it grows faster than your self-image. Remember I said at the beginning or earlier, you go from if you're in a skilled trade, if you're a blue collar or a service-based business, you go from being the guy or girl doing the work to being the guy in charge of the work to being the guy in charge of the company. But quite often what I see is these owners have the $250 a day mindset, meaning that's all I'm worth. Maybe it's $500 a day in your industry, in your region now, but we get stuck in that mindset of this is all I'm worth. How could I see more? And you're still operating as that person, as that trade worker. You're operating like the person who started the business because you started it because you had a vision, right? You started because you started because you're great at what you do and you saw a void in the industry and you wanted to fill that void. You wanted to, maybe it was to bridge a gap, provide a better service, whatever it was. And that's why you started the business. And that got you as far as it did. But see, the thing is, your business growth is never going to outgrow your personal growth. So your business it's grown this far because of how far you've come. But it's not the person that the business now requires to get to that next level. So we need to go from that old identity to the new identity to be the person that the next level of business requires. And I see it all the time. You're not alone. The second thing is when business owners think about letting go of things. I heard the saying is a business owner falls off the side of a cliff and he grabs onto a vine on the way down and he's holding on for dear life. And he yells up, "Is there anybody there? Can somebody help me?" And this booming voice, as God responds, "Yes, let go of the vine." And that guy yells out, "Is there anybody else there?" Because he doesn't trust to let go. And that's the same thing in your business. We're afraid that if we let go of that vine, we're going to fall to our debts. If we let go of certain things within our business, we're going to lose our business. See, we're taught that the winners never quit. How many of you, I'm sure you've heard it, right? As a kid, whether it was from a coach, whether it was one of your parents, an aunt or an uncle, maybe a teacher, maybe just somebody in school. Winners never quit. Quitters never win. But I want to tell you a secret here. I want to let you in a little secret. Real growth, it requires quitting. It requires quitting roles, habits, and the old identities that got you here. You see, you can't move on to that next level of your business if you're not willing to let go of some of that responsibility. I hear it all the time and I read it where you're saying, nobody can do what I do. Nobody's as good as me. And the reality is, number one, they don't need to do what you do 100%. If you're waiting for somebody to do everything you do 100%, you're going to be waiting a long time because not even you do everything 100%. Calling you out a little bit here. I see it all the time where these business owners think that there's nobody that knows more about their business than them because their business is so unique. And while, yeah, there are some nuances to your business, the business fundamentals are pretty standard across a lot of industries. Different regions have little different nuances, but it's pretty standard. And I hear people say this all the time. They're stuck at $5 million in revenue and they don't understand how these other companies are doing 10, 15, 20 million and growing nationally and internationally. It's because the owner stepped out of the way. The owner stopped being the bottleneck, stopped being the go-to for everything. The owner learned how to let go because letting go, it's not failing. It may feel like it, but it's not. When you learn to let go and delegate, you're going to unlock a whole other level of success. The third, the third item I see coming up all the time, and this isn't just in business, this is in personal lives too. Owners, high achievers, leaders, instead of removing things from their life, like they should be doing and letting go of things, they want to add more stuff. They want more marketing for their business because they think that more marketing, that's going to solve the problem. That's why they're not being profitable. That's why they're working 80 hours a week. That's why they're not having dinners with their family. They want more tools. I just need all these different softwares. I need these different hacks, these different strategies to get through stuff. It builds more stress. And I think that more stress is actually going to help them out because now they're going to be forced to make a decision instead of seeking clarity. What would happen if you got clearer with your marketing? Instead of adding to your marketing, why don't you subtract? Subtract some of the noise that's in it. You've got all these different tools that you're using to operate your life or your business. Maybe you have too many. Maybe some of those tools are actually causing more chaos than they are good. And stress, well, you alleviate stress. The great thing is it's going to help you live a longer life. I mean, I remember I used to be that guy on the highway, freeway, whichever way you want to call it. I was in the fast lane. I was going places. I had places to be. I was the most important person in the world. If you weren't going at least as fast as me, you need to get the heck out of my way. And if you were in that lane in front of me and slowing me down, I would start flashing my high beams at you. I'd be tailgating you, whatever I had to do to get you out of the way. And the amount of stress that actually put on me instead of alleviating to get somewhere 2 minutes sooner was unreal. I mean, yeah, drive efficiently. I'm all for it. But there's no need to be that guy adding stress to your life. All you're doing is taking away years of your life, maybe setting yourself up for a heart attack. Take away that stress. Slow down a little bit. When you slow down, you actually speed up because you're going to make less mistakes. I have a really important question I want to ask you. I think I want you to sit with this question. If you can, if you're not driving, hopefully you're not. If you're not driving, if you are driving, just come back to this later. Maybe write this question down and sit with it for a bit. And look, if you're not a business owner, we can tweak this for high level, high achieving individuals as well. Who do you need to become for your business to actually grow? Who do you need to become? You want that business to grow, right? You don't want just a high stress job. You want an actual business. So who do you need to become in order for your business to actually grow to the level that you dream about? Did you start this business to have a full-time job and a part-time job combined together? Did you start this business so you could spend less time with your family? Or did you start so you could have more freedom? Did you start it so you could build a legacy? So who do you need to actually become? And look, if you're not a business owner, if you're a leader, you can transfer the word business to career. Who do you need to become for your career to actually grow? Because the reality is, when your career or your business grow, it means you grow as a person and it increases your family time. Overall, everything grows. And if things aren't growing, they're decaying or dying. Look, if this resonates with you, I put together something I call the builder assessment. And I've used it myself. And I use it with clients. What it does is it helps you to see where you might actually be stuck, not just in your business, but in leadership. And if nothing else, I hope this gives you permission to stop trying to solve identity problems with business tactics. My name is Doug Ferrier. I've been there. I've built the businesses. I've had the burnout. I've had the sleepless nights. I've seen the results of what happens when entrepreneurship fails. My mission is to help you have a successful business and a successful life.